Hi guys, so I'm here at ESL One Frankfurt 2014. I'm joined here by Winter, who, should we call you Alliance Winter now, or is that confirmed yet?
Uh, I'm going to be like with them till TI, so that's so far. That's how. That's the duration of the coaching thing I'm doing with them.
Okay, so you're officially going to TI as their coach, and obviously you've been at this event coaching them, but you're also spotted in the background at WPCS. Were you also coaching them there?
Yeah, originally everything started during WPCS, and a little bit like even before WPCS, I was like trying to watch their scrims a little bit here and there. And yeah, it actually started around that period of time.
Now, your transition from a player to a coach, we kind of seen that recently a lot. You know, obviously, every situation is different. Well, like EG Sphere, for example. But do you see like a lot of that happening more in the future with the Western teams, especially when big tournaments like the international come around with so much money on the line?
Yeah, for sure. When there's so much money on the line, you want to have every help you can get, like doing all these events and the preparation to it, like having an extra person in the team that's able to understand what's going on and what is actually like when you're losing. Sometimes you get frustrated and you feel that when you're frustrated, you fail to see what is actually wrong, what actually went wrong, and you get morally it's bad for the team. But when someone is there to help out, you help by reducing the amount of work the team has to do. Like for example, the sixth person can always be watching replays. That takes up a lot of time and it helps the team a lot.
So, can you kind of walk us through like a standard, so you're not at a tournament, just a standard day as a coach. Like, how does it work for you?
I think every team's coach like works differently because like every team has different requirements for the coach. I think in general what people understand is like a coach is supposed to be like staying in the team house, and obviously you will take care of the team's like dynamics as such. Like you want to take care of their chemistry between players. Like you make sure everyone doesn't have like any huge disagreement on something and it doesn't go unsolved. Like you don't want that to happen before an event. You want everything to be like crystal clear. You can discuss everything within the team members, and you're there obviously to spot out mistakes as well, what you feel that the team shouldn't be doing. Sometimes because like a team has been together for such a long time, and when something goes wrong, you kind of like didn't see what actually went wrong because you're always together and you feel, oh, it's just another bad game, but you actually fail to see that there's always a certain reason why you actually start to lose. Like for example, maybe the meta has shifted and you still feel that, oh, it's actually a bad game, but in real fact that you lost because your play style, your current play style is like slowly getting not so efficient because of the meta shift. And if you have someone else there, you can actually the person can actually help you spot that out. Whereas sometimes teams, they don't realize because they think that it's just like you have a bad game, and you don't really see that as a problem.
So it seems like it's kind of filling a huge gap there for the rest of the team, and obviously it's been beneficial to these guys. Now, obviously, when you're at a tournament, things change. It's a lot more hands-on. So what kind of kicks into gear when you're at a tournament then?
At the tournament, basically, like I feel like the most important part of like my job is like because I get to watch the game from an outsider perspective view, so I get to see things clearly. And sometimes, like for example, this event, you don't really have much time to watch a replay and to discuss about. Like it's just like 5 minutes, and you have to get back in again. So obviously, if you have someone there, you just watch the game. You know what went wrong. The moment the teams come out of the booth, like you have 5 minutes. The 5 minutes is the most crucial time to know what actually went wrong and what you should avoid in the next game. So I think that's the main purpose of a coach in an event like this. And obviously, like the second thing is like when you are watching the other team's games, you are able to maybe see some sort of patterns between the games, like what are their movements, what are the enemy's movement and such.
Now, obviously, you've been an Eastern player. You would have maybe experienced some coaches there in the past. It seems like a lot more Eastern teams have coaches on board and have been kind of doing that for a number of years now. Is there any particular that stand out that you've kind of learned a few tricks off, or you're just trying to like bring your own style to it?
Previously, our team we have Kenshi, but he's not exactly an official coach. He was just more like something like 71, like. Yeah. But 71 is actually an official coach. But I feel like what Kenshi did for us very similar to 71. He takes care of like team disagreements and he usually leads the team discussion, and so that it's better and more productive.
Yeah.
And he stops the players from like wasting time. Sometimes you just go over the same issue over and over again and you don't get resolved because like you're just frustrated and you don't see things clearly. And so Kenchi was there to actually like straighten things up for us, and I felt it was really helpful, and it taught me personally a lot of things, how to deal with issues a team has. Because like if you have five person have like their own different mentality, and sometimes to come to one agreement on a certain thing is difficult because everyone is different. So having a person there to straighten things out is obviously very helpful.
So do you think it's pretty crucial, or it helps a lot if the coach is actually from a pro player background as well?
Yeah, obviously it does, because if you're from a pro, like if you have a pro team experience, you would understand a lot of stuff better, and you would be able to communicate with the team much more effectively. I feel like for Kenchi, he was actually a pro before he went into like sort of like business and handling of teams and such. So it's definitely very helpful that he understands what we are going through.
Now, at one point during DreamHack Summer, where the Alliance championed once again, I spotted what looked like a Skype call. Were you speaking to the team were you coaching the team during DreamHack from Skype?
Yeah, I was basically like sending messages to them on Skype, like in between games, like what I felt they should be doing and what was the reason they actually lost. Maybe like they felt that it wasn't an issue, but I told them I felt it was important for them to get a certain move done against a certain team or a certain band. Like that's all the small little things. Yeah, basically I was just doing that and trying to keep my eyes open because the time zone was really bad. The games went until 6-7 a.m. my time. Yeah.
But there's your commitment. So looking forward a bit, TI4 is obviously quickly coming up, and I'm guessing you're staying in Europe at the moment then with the team?
Yeah, I'm currently staying at their team house in Gothenburg.
And you'll travel with the team to the international then?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, how do you, like, when you have a tournament that scale, obviously all these tournaments are big, but 10 million is a whole new level. I mean, yourself as an international player, every year it seems to get bigger and bigger. How much influence does like a pending looming prize pool of that much have on, how much pressure does it put on you basically?
You mean me as a coach, or?
It's in just like from a player's point of view.
I mean, I don't think it actually puts on that much additional pressure, because I feel like if you want to win, you don't care about how much is the prize pool, you just want to win. Like the additional prize pool obviously would mean that people will work harder, more motivation. Like it's more worth it to sacrifice time to put into something that you feel that you are really passionate about, because it's going to be worth it if you actually make it in the end. So I think like additional prize pool is obviously really huge to make the scene grow, especially and in Southeast Asia where the scene is really like lackluster, very few events, very few sponsors. And hopefully when the game goes bigger in the future, like for now, it will actually bring in more sponsors to Southeast Asia scene, so that it's actually better for the players there. I feel like a lot of players are really talented, but they do not have the opportunities they have, like compared to the European players or even the Chinese players in China.
Yeah. And one of the benefits you guys have from attending WPCAs is actually you've had a chance to kind of practice against the Eastern teams. Do you think that helps quite a bit going into the international over your opponents?
I think it obviously helps them understand the Chinese team better, but I feel that sometimes if you do practice with the Chinese teams, like if I'm in a Western team's shoes, I would feel worried if I were to practice with the Chinese teams, because I feel I'm actually giving away more than they are giving to me. Because like sometimes I feel like, especially at TI3, the Chinese teams actually sort of underestimated the Western teams. Yeah. That's the reason why they actually lost a lot of games to them, like failure to understand how strong is the West especially. So I feel like if the Western teams were to practice with the Chinese team, it actually benefits the Chinese teams more, depending on how you see it, obviously. But yeah, if you practice against them, you get to understand them, but at the same time, they will be able to understand about you.
So, looking at the balance this year, how do you see it? Do you see it more in the Eastern favour, more in the Western, or do you think this is probably one of the closest internationals we're going to get?
I think it's going to be really close. For me, the 5 teams that are going to be the favourites for this event will be DK, IG, Alliance, EG, And who else am I missing, DK?
Maybe Newbie.
Oh yeah, newbie. Yeah.
And Newbie's kind of like a bit of a dark horse to the Western teams because it's probably one of the one of the biggest Eastern teams that haven't scrimmed much against or have been played against the Western teams. I mean, obviously they're a new team, newish team. What's kind of your opinion on those guys?
I think newbie has a very aggressive play style, and I think that the current meta favors a lot on the aggression, especially like I feel their star players will be obviously the middle player Mu and his chemistry with their safe lane player Hao, which is I think their biggest weapon because both of them play very aggressively and they somehow always end up at the same place at the same time so they can help each other out. If you can see, if you watch all of their games, they somehow will always be in the same place at the same time. Like it's just the chemistry they have between the two, which is such a huge weapon for the team. And obviously the draft as well. They are drafting a little different from the rest of the Chinese teams where they prioritize different types of heroes. And yeah, I think there will be like obviously when the Chinese teams don't practice with the Western teams and they don't meet with the Western teams like newbie, they don't meet with the Western teams in tournaments because I think they didn't qualify or something. Did they play in ESL? I can't remember.
I don't think they did.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't. It's been a long 2 days, so I can't remember off the top of my head.
Probably it'll be a very good advantage for them, like because the Western teams wouldn't understand them as much as the rest of the teams, especially DK and IG.
And you mentioned chemistry, like with Alliance being a full Swedish squad. Can you see just them being all the same nationality? Has that helped them a lot as a team? Can you see how that benefits them?
Yeah, for sure. Speaking the same language and coming from the same culture is very important to build that chemistry that the team has. Like sometimes you watch them play, you're like, wow, how did they actually pull that off? Because like the amount of communication you have to get to pull some certain move off is just extraordinary. And I think like being a part of a same culture is very important to pull that off. So being Swedish, 5 Swedish is obviously so helpful.
It's a big advantage then. And before I let you go, it's been a while since we've seen you on camera, I think. And I know you have a pretty big fan base, honestly, in both Western and Eastern scenes. So I'm going to give you a moment to give a shout out to your fans and everyone else there who loves you.
I would like to thank LD obviously because he gave me 2 really huge opportunities in eSport. The first one will be casting and the second one will be he gave me an opportunity to actually try out with Alliance because it was actually Alliance looking around for a coach and he heard and he actually recommended me to them. So big shout out to LD and big shout out to Kelly as well and the Alliance guys who they actually took care of me really well during my stay in Sweden. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Winter. Best of luck at the International.